Okay, I'm going to walk you through what a level Q text looks like. This comes from the Fountas and Pinnell RED system, and this is book number 161, and this one is called Girl with a Vision. And as you can probably tell from the title, this is a biography. Now, biographies are not a new genre to the level Q text. Um, Kids have likely seen biographies before, but the difference here is starting at a level Q, these biographies are likely about someone that a child doesn't know very well, or that a child doesn't know at all. So I know in the previous levels there are biographies about Martin Luther King Jr. I've read some about Babe Ruth, and those are people that the children definitely have heard about before, which is why they can write them at a lower level. This biography right here is a great example of a girl that the students definitely would have not heard about. Her name is, let me scroll down, her name is Sabria, and she's a German girl who is blind, and she ends up traveling to Tibet, and she invents a braille system for blind Tibetan students, and she makes her own school for the blind. So definitely someone that the children wouldn't have heard about before. So that's a difference just in the biographies that are starting at this level Q. These books are also, in general, whether it's fiction or nonfiction, a level Q tends to have very memorable characters, and Sabria is a perfect example of that. I've had students say to me months after reading this book something like, hey, remember when we read the book about the blind girl who went to Tibet? So the children, they remember this woman, and that's very typical of biographies, autobiographies, or memoirs, or fiction texts even at a level Q. The characters are just very memorable. Something else is that at a level Q, you'll start to see some suspense being built throughout the plot or the story. There is some on this book, so or on this page right here. It talks a little bit about Sabria's younger life, and on page 5, at the end of page 5, it's talking about how much she struggled in school when she was young. She just didn't fit in. The children, other students made fun of her. They would lead her to places where she would stumble and fall, and then they would laugh at her. So it's kind of building this suspense, um, and children are really interested in knowing at this point, what happens after that. Does she spend all of her school years like this? And that continues on to the next page. There's still some suspense where, it starts as she got older, her eyes got worse. And so the children are really wondering, so she's going blind, like what happens? And it does say here that Sabria's new school changed everything. So there was the suspense, and then that also kind of leads us into another feature that's pretty common of a level Q. Um, in these two sentences here that I highlighted, it said Sabria's new school changed everything. It was as if the sun had come out after months and months of rain. So there is some figurative language here, which is not new at a level Q. I had mentioned in one of my earlier videos that the figurative language really comes in around a level M. So children have had some exposure by this level to it. It just might be more often in the texts and can lead to really good conversation just about comparisons and things like that. So this example is comparing Sabria's new school to the sun. It's saying her school is like the sun after months of rain, and that just leads to really good conversations about, what does that say about her school? What does that say about her life before? Why would the author choose to use the sun as a comparison? What is the sun synonymous with? So it can really bring some deeper level thinking in at a level Q. Of course, figurative language always can, but you're going to see so much more of that just with every continued level. So, and I thought that was a beautiful example of that one. But other than that, at a level Q, you're still going to see a lot of the same things that we've just previously seen from the earlier levels. We'll have multi-syllable words, we'll have words with multiple meanings. There can be bolded or italicized words. There aren't any in here, I believe. The sentences are typically longer than 15 words. We'll still have captions. Oh, that can be a difference at a level Q. The captions are at a level Q can be really important to read. Sometimes in previous levels, a child could get away with not reading the captions, but here's an example of one where if you just look at this picture on page 11, if the child didn't read the caption, that picture makes no sense. So this particular caption is very important for this. What this is, Braille writing that Sabria created, and that it's the word for table. So that's a little bit of a difference. And some of the graphics too at a level Q, there's a map here, which is not new, but sometimes the maps at this level can have scales or legends with them that would require some mathematical thinking and some interpretation for what that looks like in real life. So that's just a little bit of a difference. And I think that's about it. There's no glossary in this book. There certainly could be at a level Q, but because this is a biography and doesn't have a ton of new vocabulary, that's just not a feature of this particular text. But this is what a Q looks like.